Hi, folks. I'm your handsome host, Isaac West. Uh, I'm going to tell you a bit about myself because it does relate to the game. I have a struggle waking up in the morning. It's quite difficult for me. It has been for years. It's hard for me to fall asleep at night, probably because I'm recording videos at 12:09 at night. So that might have something to do with it. But anyways, even when I'm not, I struggle falling asleep, and as a result, I struggle waking up in the morning, and all that kind of stuff. And the reason I say that is because the Oilers are in a similar position. They do not start games early. They haven't for a while, and they didn't today either. Um, I posted the score in my title, so you already know how it ends. So that's good and all, but let's start about how the Oilers started because it wasn't pretty, unless you're a Blues fan. The Blues were frankly too fast for the Oilers' defense. The Oilers have been statistically, not just me saying as an Oilers fan, statistically the Oilers are a top 10 defense this year. That's a fact. Um, and sometimes they even look like a top 5 defense. But the reason they're not is because once in a while they just play in such a way that's so jaw-droppingly awful that you're looking at the Bakersfield Condors defense for some hope because it just looks so bad, and that was the case early in the first, which eventually results in a St. Louis power play. Draisaitl goes off for high sticking. I thought it was a pretty soft penalty, but it was still a penalty at the end of the day. So that's only 2 minutes into the contest. He takes that penalty, and 14 seconds into the power play, the Oilers give Robert Thomas tons of room to pick his shot, and he does, and you hear the ping on the red bar, and it's in the back of the net. Robert Thomas scores his 20th goal on the power play. He's assisted by Jordan Kyrou and Torrey Krug. And again, you'd like to see your goalie make those saves, but at the end of the day, the defense really shouldn't give Robert Thomas that much room to work. Even on the penalty kill, there's not much excuse for that. And St. Louis keeps the pressure on because it's only a 1-goal lead. 2 goals, even 3-goal leads are dangerous in this day and age, which the Oilers proved today. St. Louis, not for a lack of trying on St. Louis's part, but 2.5 minutes later, St. Louis gets an even strength goal. It's Buchnevich's 24th goal, assisted by Robert Thomas and Jordan Kyrou. And this one I couldn't blame Skinner. It's hard to blame the goalie when both of your defensemen are behind the net. They should not be behind the net. The puck was behind the net, carried by a Blues player. I forget if it was Thomas or Kyrou, but one of them had the puck behind the net. And Nurse and Ceci both go behind to trap him and try to get the puck. Now, if it had worked, great, and I wouldn't be complaining about it. But I am complaining about it because it didn't work. Because the puck goes through them, and it goes to Pavel Buchnevich, who's in the slot, and the closest player is Leon Draisaitl, whose defense is, I can talk about him more deeply at another time, but about his defense, because it is worth touching. It's not as bad as people say, but not as good as people say. The point is, he should not have been the closest player to Pavel Buchnevich, and he's not good enough in deep defensive zones to stop Pavel Buchnevich from scoring. So Buchnevich has all the time in the world he needs to pick a shot, to pick the shot he wants, and he's talented enough to make that shot. He does. He scores. Again, Skinner didn't have much chance because Nurse and Ceci are behind the net. And look, they've had a really good couple of weeks. That was bad, man. That was really bad. Not one of them was guarding the front of the net. And St. Louis takes a 2-0 lead. But the Oilers, they usually get their crap together by the second period. This time they decided to do it a bit earlier, decided to do it in the second half of the first period. And it would be proven in 2 ways. One, that despite the slow start, the Oilers would actually carry the lead in terms of shots 11-8 and score a goal of their own. It's Zach Hyman scoring the power play because only 8 seconds into a power play when Kevin Hayes took a tripping penalty, Zach Hyman scores from his spot, which is right in front of the net. It's his 39th goal. He's assisted by Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Connor McDavid. So, at least the Oilers' heads aren't too low, and the fans are still in it as the Oilers and the Blues head to the locker room 2-1 in favor of St. Louis. Second period. Me and my friend noticed that McDavid's line wasn't out for a long time in the second period. McDavid was playing with Draisaitl, and McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman line in the first period was pretty bad. It was really bad, actually. The best line during the first period was Fogle, McLeod, and Perry, with Desharnais and Kulak on the back end behind them. That's when the Oilers were at their best, besides the power play. And full credit to all those five. They did have a really good first period. It's just when you have McDavid and Draisaitl, those guys shouldn't be your best line. And when you have Bouchard, Ekholm, and Nurse, those guys, the Desharnais, Kulak shouldn't be your best defensive pairing. Unfortunately, those weren't the best throughout the game. So in the first 5 minutes, McDavid and Draisaitl are benched. It takes a lot of balls to bench those two guys, not just because of maybe power imbalance, which I don't think is a real strong thing in hockey, but also because everyone's going to be looking at you, why are you benching Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl for that matter? Hyman wasn't benched. He played a bit with Nugent Hopkins, but eventually what happens is Connor McDavid and Draisaitl, they get the message. They're eventually put on the ice, and as soon as they're on, Zachary Hyman scores his 40th goal. He's assisted by McDavid and Bouchard. So the benching worked. They took it well, and the line performed well through the rest of the game. With that assist, McDavid, that was his second assist of the game, and he joins quite a long list of others to have 6 straight games with 2 or more assists, and that's tied for the second longest streak, tied with various others for the second longest streak. The longest streak of 2 assists or more in a game is, of course, held by Wayne Gretzky, who his streak was 8 games. So we'll see if McDavid can catch up. It's hard to say if anybody can catch up to Gretzky in any shape or form, but nothing's too impossible for Connor McDavid. That's why we love him. Anyways, so game goes on throughout the second period, and it's pretty tight. Both goalies make some pretty good saves. Darnell Nurse sent to the box for an Oilers delay of game. That penalty is killed. And then at the end of the period, Bouchard is whistled for interference. I'm not saying Bouchard didn't interfere with the Blues player, but the Blues player was notably bigger than Bouchard. Bouchard did not push him that hard, and the Blues player went down decently easy. It looked like a dive to me, it looked like a dive to Bouchard, and it looked like a dive to Louis DeBrusk, and most importantly, it did not look like a dive to the refs, which I think they don't call most dives because it's hard to see. That's a whole different discussion. I don't remember if I said this yet in this recording, but it is going to sound like I'm blaming the refs a lot. This was probably one of their worst games lately. But the reason I say worse in that manner is because I haven't had much of an issue with the refs this year, which might make you question my loyalty to the Oilers, but they really haven't been this bad, and they weren't really that bad this game. I just felt like some of the calls were pretty soft, but whatever. Oilers have had their fair share of games where the refs gave them the benefit of the doubt, and vice versa. That happens to every team. It's just part of the game, and I actually think the NHL has the best ref, but that's a whole different discussion, different video. Part of being a hockey fan is being able to talk about the refereeing. Part of being a sports fan, frankly. Anyways, so the third period starts. Bouchard's in the box for the next 2 minutes. Oilers kill that penalty as well. A lot of their defensive mistakes are pretty muted. There is still a lot of shots, though. Like in the second period, St. Louis led in shots 12-10. And in the third period, Edmonton would lead the shots 11-10. Edmonton would have a power play when Oscar Sundqvist, I believe it's Oscar, I just wrote down O Sundqvist. He's from Sweden. It's probably Oscar. I don't even know if he's from Sweden actually, but you know what I mean. He goes off for high sticking. Oilers don't score on that power play. Both Binnington and Skinner continue having a really strong performance through that third period, making it scoreless and forcing overtime. there was one bit during a third period where the Oilers did make a notably bad play, and the Blues have a 2-on-0. Bouchard and Kulak, who were out at the time, did a really good job trying to back check, but it wasn't a good enough job. They didn't get there in time. If they had like half a second more, they would have, but they didn't. So at the end of the day, the Blues had a really good 2-on-0 chance, and that really good 2-on-0 chance would be, in my opinion, the save of the game from Stuart Skinner, as he stretches out his blocker to save the game, frankly, and keep it a 2-2 tie. And that's not a dish on Binnington. He had his fair share of good saves, as he did the last time we met. So anyways, we go to overtime. I'm sorry to report that Harnarayan Singh was doing the call. Not that he was bad. I thought he actually did a better job than he usually does in OT, but Jack Michaels is so good in OT, man. And he would have had a lot of fun with this OT because it was back and forth. These teams are both very fast and very capable, and just as they had through most of the game, Binnington and Skinner both had some very big saves. But eventually, a goal is had, and you can see the title. You know who scored the goal. Well, you don't know who individually. You know the Oilers scored. But would you believe it? It's a guy who hasn't scored in over 10 games. Connor McDavid scored. Everybody throughout the game was just talking about this guy's not scoring. He's not getting much shots on net, all that kind of stuff. And he scores. He ends his 10-game goal slump. It's his 22nd goal of the year, and he's assisted by Matthias Ekholm and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. I saw a clip of TNT where the NHL on TNT were bugging McDavid. Why'd you shoot? You told us you weren't going to shoot anymore and all that kind of stuff. And McDavid said, hey, I tried. There wasn't anybody open, so I just shot it. And it bounced off of Binnington's blocker and went back into the net. And I kind of laughed at Binnington's reaction, not because I was laughing at him, but because I, as a goalie, have had that reaction before where he's just puts his head back. He's mad that went through. He can't believe it in a way. And I've let in goals like that before, so I totally understand the reaction. I wasn't laughing at him. I was just like, yep, I've had that reaction too a lot. Actually, I've never allowed a goal. Let's go with that. I've never allowed a goal in my life. I'm the best goalie ever. That's why I'm in the NHL. Anyways, OT shots were 4-3 in favor of St. Louis, including 2 good chances where the Oilers' defense weren't back in time, so it allowed St. Louis to have a rebound, and Skinner made very strong saves on them both. I've noticed lately, especially this game, Skinner is very smart with his saves, because especially in the NHL, making a save isn't just about stopping it from going in the back of the net. It's also about how you handle the puck with those saves. A lot of goalies train to be able to deflect the puck into the corners. But if you can, it's best to swallow it up. And Skinner is one of the best goalies in the league at swallowing up the puck. I don't think he led the league in puck freezes last year. He might have. I'm trying to remember. But if he didn't, he was like top 5, maybe top 3. And that's because he's, with his big frame, he's very good at swallowing up the puck and making sure that he either holds it in his glove or swallows it up with his arms, whichever way he does it. So anyways, really exciting game, 3-2 win for the Oilers. Shots were 35-34, and that extra shot was the game-winning goal. Hits, it was also another heavy-hitting game for the Oilers. Don't let anybody tell you the Oilers aren't physical, because they've had a lot of heavy-hitting games this year. This one was 33-28 in favor of Edmonton, and Edmonton also led in faceoffs, 31-28. So in shots, hits, and faceoffs, including special teams, I might as well add them in there too. Power and heck, goaltending too. Power play was 1 for 2 for Edmonton and 1 for 3 for St. Louis. Skinner was 32 for 34. Binnington also made 32 saves, but on 35 shots. So in all those categories, in every single super important category, because there's lots of categories, but of those categories mentioned that are the super most important, the Oilers led. And so it's always satisfying to see the Oilers not only win a game, but to outshoot the opponents, outsave the opponents in terms of percentage, and out-hit the opponents, and do it in terms of face-off and on the special teams. So, but it wasn't complete dominance, because the Oilers weren't didn't like super outshoot the Blues. They didn't super out hit or outwin the faceoffs or any of that. It was just slightly better in all those categories, and it resulted in an OT win for the Oilers. My 3 stars. It was easy to pick the 3 guys who I would have chosen for my 3 stars for the Oilers. It was hard to put them in order because I felt all 3 were super important to getting into the game. My 3rd star, I'm going to start from the bottom this time, was Skinner, who kept us in the game the whole time. Second star was Hyman, who got us back into the game with his 2 goals. But the 1st star was the guy who won it and assisted on both of Hyman's goals. You know his name, you love him. Hopefully, Connor McDavid. He had a goal and 2 assists, and was also the Oilers' leading hitter. He had 4 hits. So again, really fun game. Lots of awesomeness to see for the Oilers. You wish they'd get up earlier. I wish I got up earlier, but the importance is, at the end of the day for me, I still make the day worthwhile, and the Oilers did that too. It'd be nice if we did that earlier and didn't have to put ourselves into that situation where we'd have to do all this stuff at 12:25 a.m. You just have it done earlier, but that's not the case. At least it got done. So good game from them. But before I go, I wanted to talk about the Bakersfield Condors. I thought about doing reviews for them. I don't have AHL TV, so I can't watch any of their games. But I could, if I wanted to, probably find highlights. And I do have the AHL app, so I could pay attention to them. And the reason I wanted to bring up them because they had a great game. They were playing the Tucson Roadrunners, and they got outshot 41-26. But the reason the Condors didn't need a lot of shots was because they won 7-2. Yeah, Raphael Lavoie, he had a hat trick and an assist. Seth Griffith had a goal and 3 assists. Berglund got his first goal in the league and an assist. And Drayden Grube, he didn't get any of those, but he had 19 penalty minutes. He had a minor penalty in the first period, and then he racked up a game misconduct, a fighting, and an instigator penalty for the other 15. But most importantly, Jack Campbell had a great game. He saved 39 of 41 shots down there. So I think Condors actually have a really good goaltending duo in terms of the AHL. Rodriguez is one of the best goalies in the AHL right now. He's very young, and Campbell has been NHL caliber at times. He had an NHL caliber performance today. Again, 39 saves and 41 shots. Doesn't matter if that's NHL or AHL. That's super awesome, super impressive. So happy for him. If I were to do Bakersfield Condors, I wouldn't call them game reviews. I'd call them game notes, where I'd just look at the highlights and go over the statistics. But I wouldn't be able to offer an actual review on the momentum, how it looked, how it went. So that's kind of been my hesitancy. But anyways, that's my Oilers game review, as well as a bonus for the Bakersfield Condors and their fantastic game today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it enough to leave a like, I hope. Please leave your thoughts. Subscribing would be awesome, and ringing that bell would also be awesome, so that you would be notified anytime your favorite YouTuber, which is me, in case you forgot, uploads a video. I do plan on uploading more videos. As I keep saying, I have one ready for the heart race, but since it's 12:27 a.m. and I procrastinated yet again, it's probably going to come out tomorrow. I don't got anything going on Thursday evening, so I really don't got an excuse to, unless something crazy happens, to not get it out tomorrow. Anyways, I hope I see you there. I hope I see you in that video. I hope you get notified of that, because that meant you would have ring the bell, which gives me more attention and more views, and gives me more urge to talk, though I don't need much urge to talk about the Oilers because I love them. I'm grateful to be a fan. I'm grateful to have any of your views, likes, or attention, and all that kind of stuff. As I've said, have a great, wonderful rest of your day, night, wherever you're at. I'll see you in the next one.